Hello everybody. I was out here in the orchard and I just thought I'd do a small video. I'm getting ready to do some pruning. I haven't posted a video for about a year, but I wanted to give an update. I'm thinking about switching over to a permaculture orchard instead of monoculture, and there's plenty of information on YouTube and on Google if you want to Google it. But basically what it is you plant supportive plants that help your trees to live naturally and have a good immune system naturally, so you don't have to spray as much and things like that. But I have a few issues that I'm going to have to work out, and the main one being, in a permaculture orchard, the typical way to do it is to plant in sets of 3, and that would be a nitrogen fixer, and then an apple, and then a pear or plum, in that series through the row. Well, as you can see, I have a monoculture here, which is all apples in the row. So to do it correctly, I would have to, let's say, keep that apple tree there, dig this one up and possibly transplant it somewhere, and also that one there. So it would be, apple, pear, nitrogen fixer, and then I could keep that next apple, and so on and so on. So I don't really know what to do at this point. But in preparation for it, I'm starting to lay down cardboard and mulch, and this mulch is it's just off of my property here. It's like chopped up willow and small wild plum tree branches, stuff like that. It'll rot away fast and provide nutrients to the soil quickly. And you can see I haven't got very far. It takes an awful lot of mulch. Little bit that I've got done there, that's what, 3 or 4 days worth of work just to chop that much up and lay it down. But next year I'll be able to plant like gooseberries and nitrogen fixer bushes, raspberries, blackberries, currants, maybe some elderberries, things like that, in between the trees and around the trees and stuff. The idea is to kind of have a cover so that you don't have plants that you don't want around your trees, to fill the space, because wherever there's empty ground space, nature's going to want to fill that up. And around here, that usually means like weeds that you don't want in there, some like thorny stuff and things like that I just don't want in my orchard. Now I know gooseberries are thorny, but that's a sacrifice you can make for gooseberries, because they are sellable. In my retirement, this is going to be hopefully a pick your own orchard with a stand up there by the road, and I'll be able to bring people in here and let them pick and just enjoy the day. I'll just do a walk around a little bit and let you see. There's not much to see right now because the trees are dormant. I'm not going to be doing very much pruning this year. A lot of the trees I've tried to shape, and the deer chew on them and stuff, and it doesn't work. So I'm just going to have to let them go. Very, very light pruning this year, and basically I'm going to take out anything that's dead, diseased, stuff like that. I'm not even going to worry about crossing branches this year unless they're really rubbing together, because I need to make sure the trees have enough greenery on the top. They've been stunted several years in a row. These trees should be producing right now, but they're not because the deer won't leave them alone. Some of them are looking good, others not so good. I had pretty good success on my grafts last year. Only have maybe 2 out of all of these new grafts that didn't take. I think we have about 150 trees total now. This is something I've started doing here on my new trees to keep weeds and grass away from the base of them. I've been putting these buffer pads. They're used buffer pads. I think they'll be all right. A lot cheaper than getting them tree rings from Lowe's. Those are pretty expensive when you're looking at 150 trees worth of them, and these are free. Look at this little golden russet. Isn't that an odd shape for an apple tree? And that's the way it just wanted to do it naturally. I didn't really try to guide that much. It kind of started out on its own as a vase shape. And I kept it in a cage for as long as I could, but it just kept trying to go wider and wider. And it's kind of neat, but it'd be interesting to see what it does when it's an adult. I kind of like it. This tree here is pretty tall now. I'd have to look on my map to see what kind it is. It's either swar or oh, I can't remember the other one. I did a couple of them up here that were top worked, which means the original graft that I did didn't take. So I let it go a couple of years and I top worked it, and man, that thing really took off. I'll give you a comparison. I left a lot of these wildflowers. I read that different beneficial insects like to use the dead stems of these wildflowers to overwinter in. And that's another part of permaculture, is to try to encourage all the insects that you want to come here and live here. And eventually I'll be putting up bird houses, because I want to attract birds to eat caterpillars that might eat the leaves of the trees. I need to figure out what kind of birds like to eat June bugs, because I usually have a pretty bad June bug problem here. One year the trees got set back real bad. It was like their second year because the June bugs just completely defoliated every tree in this orchard. I mean, stripped them clean. And they struggled that year, boy. It was bad. Look at that, that's a pretty little tree there. I like the shape of it, it's a very nice shape. That one is, I believe, Duchess of Oldenburg. Or is it? Well, I can't remember. I should label the trees out here, but I just rely on my app on my phone to keep track of what tree is what. You would think I would know by now, being out here all the time. No, there's my Duchess right there. That one came from Trees of Antiquity. That's a Kid's Orange Red. I do know that one. And there's 3 more Kid's Orange Red down there at the end of the row. This one here is Golden Russet. Honey Gold. And this one's my white pearmain. White pearmain has an interesting history. This is the oldest tree that I have. Oldest cultivar, I should say. This was from England. I don't know if you can read that. England, 1200s. That means somebody has grafted that variety of apple tree ever since the 1200 AD era. Isn't that neat? It'll be really interesting to try it and see what it tastes like. If anybody out there has tried a white pearmain, let me know. I'd like to get your opinion on it. And I did graft a couple off of that one last year. That one there's a white pearmain, and it's doing really good. And this one here is a white pearmain. So I'll have 3 of those trees now. So far those grafts look real nice. That's the wine sap row. I had some apples on wine saps last year. It was just a few, and they fell off prematurely, which, you know, that's normal. Their first couple of years are going to do that. But they got some nice fruiting spurs on them this year. You can see right here how that's wrinkled and it's short at the base, and then they'll have a big fat bud on them. I hope it's not too nauseating walking around with this thing in my hand like this, but that's really the only way I could figure out to do it, to get you up close to see the trees, is just to walk around with it. That little wine sap tree last year had an apple on it, and it held the apple longer than any of the others in the row, and it's just a little bitty thing. This one's a Jonathan. I have 2 Jonathans, one I bought and one I grafted. That one there I bought, and then this one here was my graft. That one there is a Golden Delicious, I believe. I've got Golden Delicious scattered out throughout the orchard here in different rows because they're a pretty good pollinator. That's a Golden Delicious there. Haven't had any trouble this year with rabbits. I use these feed bags. I just cut feed bags and wrap around the trunk. And shoot, it works fine, I think. So far I haven't had any major trouble. I know orchard, like if you go to a professional orchard place, they want you to buy those expensive tree wraps. And oh my God, it costs thousands of dollars, you know. Just to do 150 trees worth of that wrap. And I said, the heck with that, I'm gonna try this. It's free, it don't take no time to put on. So far it's working fine. Now we don't get like 2 feet deep of snow here anymore. We used to when I was a kid, but not now. Maybe, you know, if it got that deep, then yeah, maybe you need to get something better. That's a nice tree there. But yeah, I've changed the way I prune a lot since I started this orchard. Back when I started this orchard, that limb, see that limb that goes way down there close to the ground? That limb I would have cut off. Now, when I look at that tree, I see that limb and I see that as a very beneficial, sacrificial limb. And what I mean by that is, with that limb sticking out there, the deer, if they're gonna rub their antlers, they'll rub that instead of the main trunk. Or if they look at it, they see two trunks like that, then they just kind of go on and they try to find something with a tall single trunk that's just the right size around. That's what they want to rub their antlers on. And I've noticed if I have a limb sticking out like that and a T-post next to the tree, it seems like they don't really mess with those trees that much. They'll chew the buds and stuff, but they won't like tear the tree completely apart. So I'm just going to leave that limb. I think it'll help. And also the voles and rabbits, if there's a limb like that that's low and we do get deep snow, they'll chew on that new skinny limb more than they will the big bark on the trunk. They prefer the newer limbs and buds. Everything's dead right now, or not dead, I guess, just dormant, but it looks pretty bare. In the springtime, down there by the four-wheeler, that's a terrace there, and in the springtime, all of those wild plum trees are full of white blooms, and the smell is amazing, and the bees just love them. I've been wanting to put some wild bee housing down there and maybe some bird houses. I think it'd be nice for them. I have a lot of wild pollinators here. Before I got my honeybees, I was thinking, maybe I better get some honeybees because I don't know if I have enough wild pollinators. And especially last summer, since I left these wildflowers out here, man, there was a lot of wild pollinators. I couldn't believe it. They was just loaded. So, now I'm thinking, well, maybe I don't need honeybees. But it's fine. I have one hive, and if they make it, I'll keep them. If they don't, I'm not gonna worry about it too much. So my goal this year is to finish out that one row with mulch and cardboard, and it'd be nice to do 2 or 3 rows, but it's just not realistic for me. I don't have that kind of spare time, and I don't want to buy a semi-truck load of mulch, you know. So I just do what I can when I can. This is more of a hobby for me anyway. But I am looking forward to having these different breeds of, or different cultivars of apples for people to try, you know. I'm really interested in trying some of them. I can't imagine somebody else wouldn't be. I mean, who wouldn't want to try an apple from the 1200 AD, you know? Or the oldest apple in America, known in America to be cultivated, which would be that golden russet. They say they're really good, like sweet and juicy and just a really nice to eat out of the hand apple. The only way to know around here is to grow them and try them, because there's nobody else that I know of that's selling them. Everybody's selling the Old Faithfuls, you know, the Golden Delicious, Red Delicious, Jonathan, Jonna Gold. I mean, everybody knows those. And they're good apples. I ain't saying they're not good. But why not try something different? You know, that's the way I'm thinking about it. This one here is one I bought from Stark's. I got 2 of those. It's a Orleans Renette antique apple. They're doing pretty good. There's one there and one, let's see, where's the other one at? 2 rows down at the end. And then I've got Winter Banana here. There's 2 of those, one here and one down there by the 4-wheeler. I grafted several of the Jonna Golds last year, and all of them took. That's kind of neat. I think I've got like 6 new Jonna Gold trees down there. This one here is a Jonna Gold, and then the one on the other side of that Winter Banana is a Jonna Gold. And the other ones in this row are Candy Crisp. I grafted from a friend of mine's trees. The deer love these Jonna Gold trees. They must be the best tasting buds and bark of any apple tree, the way they go after them. It's just like they tear the heck out of them. Now this tree and that tree, I bought those at Farm and Home, and they should have produced, for 2 years now they should have been producing, but they haven't produced a single apple. All I can do is just keep waiting. Eventually they'll grow up out of the deer's reach, and maybe I can get a ladder and get an apple. It's pretty sad. And these Honey Crisp, I've been seriously thinking about top working these over to something else. Those trees, this whole row, I grafted in 2017. This is their 4th spring, and look at them. They're tiny. They're absolutely tiny trees. At this rate, it would be 25 years before I got a fruit. That might be an exaggeration, but you know, I mean, come on. How long are you going to have to wait? And I've fertilized them, I've kept the weeds back from them, I've done everything I need to be doing, and they are just, I don't know. They grow slower than an oak tree. I like Honey Crisp, but they're taking up space in the orchard for nothing at this point. That one there is a cider tree, a cider apple tree. It's called Franklin, I believe. And I'm really hoping to get some scion sticks off of this so I can graft some more. I'd like to have about 5 or 6 of those. And they say they're really good for hard cider. It's a good healthy tree. It seems to really like this area. So why not plant trees that like this area, you know? This poor pink lady here, I can't believe it is still alive. You can see all the damage that's been done to it. Look at that. I'd say that whole top's probably going to die out of it. So I grafted more of those pink lady. That's what finishes out this row. There's 5 more. That one is the only one that didn't take. The rest of them took. Well, I guess I can walk up here to the pears and peaches. These 2 little trees here are quince. I never really knew about quince until I started this orchard. I read up on them a little bit. It's kind of between an apple and a pear, but they claim they're not too good to just eat. You have to cook them. I thought I'd give them a try. This pear tree is getting tall. Look at that. That thing is, well, I'm 5'8", and it towers over me. Haven't had a single pear off of it yet. I've tried tying the limbs down and stuff, but it doesn't seem to want to cooperate. I'll just leave it be. Eventually it'll produce, I would hope. This second pear got tore up. I don't know if it's going to make it or not. The whole bottom half of the tree is stripped almost clean from its bark. There's nothing left. We'll see what it does. The peaches, they're doing pretty good. This one's a Belle of Georgia. That's a white peach. And I have Red Haven and what was the other one? These are Red Havens here, I think. I don't remember the other ones. Alberta, yeah. Oh, there goes a rabbit. Here I have 2 standard Montmorency cherries. I hope they get to be really big cherry trees. That'd be really nice. I don't know if they're even going to make it or not. Yeah, it's still green under the bark. That's the plums down there and the cherries over there. I'd really like to have a lot more cherry trees. I mean a lot, like 100 cherry trees would be nice. These are blue damson plums, these first two. And then we have some little yellow plums, those next two. And the last two are methyl plums. And then that is a big pecan tree. Well guys, that's the full tour. I don't know what else I could show you. I really need to get the pruning completely done today, because I think I'm going to have to work overtime tomorrow again at work. And I got to cut all them trees off the levee, all of them. Those can stay, but the levee has to be cleaned off. That levee there already leaks. I don't want it to leak any worse than it does. So that's a heck of a job, you know. And I got to run all those young ash trees through the wood chipper and put more mulch on them. That project I've got going on over there. The bees are sleeping still. Haven't seen any activity out of them at all. It's been way cold here. I put sugar in the top of their hive. Last fall I put a bag of sugar in the top. Kind of keep them going. Plug their vent holes. Other than just that one little one in the top and the back and underneath the lid there. Well, they haven't been eating much of the sugar. They did a little. I don't know if they're still okay in there or not. Guess we'll find out. The garden area. Lots of pecan trees coming up here. I'll show you this little elderberry. I transplanted this elderberry here, and look, the rabbits have been chewing on it. And I thought that the stems of elderberry are poisonous. Evidently the rabbits didn't get the memo. It's so nice just to be able to get outside and just take a stroll. Wouldn't it be nice if this whole terrace was lined with raspberries? Put that on the future to-do list. This area right here is all for orchard expansion. I just plan on cutting it with the brush hog, or if I can find a sickle bar mower, I'd rather use a sickle bar mower. just like once or twice a year, just to keep it cut down to where I can plant it in the future. It's all potential. It's good ground too. This used to be a feedlot for cows, and I put melons in down there like a couple years after we got here, and man, I had some nice melons there. Great big juicy watermelons. It did good. It was hard to keep the weeds out though. I kind of give up on trying to keep the weeds out. The wild plum just go crazy here. You would think that the plum cultivars that you plant, you would think that they would do just as good if these things do good. I'll take another video when those come into bloom. It's so pretty. Alright, well, this video is getting pretty long, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here and get to work. So y'all have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.